giving me the times to present my papers, my views on this platform. Myself, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Agarwal, Department of Commerce, Bardhaman College, Bijnor, Uttar Pradesh, India. The title of my paper is Ethics of Professional Accounts, Threats and Safeguards. Indeed, accounting is not only valuable knowledge but also the main factor of the market economic outcome. Without accounting, no economic activity may be performed in the present era. Accounting may be defined as the process to maintain and to supervise the various types of account books which are used in an organization in very systematic manner. Hence, we may say that it refers to the presentation of information regarding financial situation as well as operational profitability. Therefore, a person who is liable to maintain the accounts is known as the accountant, and an accountant who has the expert knowledge in maintaining the accounts is known as the professional accountant. Various complex situations are faced by the professional accountant at the time of professional maintaining accounts. These situations may hamper the accounting professional credibility. To avoid the blaming and humiliation of accounting profession, it is necessary to follow various rules and regulations by the accountant. In other words, it is called the ethics. What are the basic object of this paper is to highlight the fundamental and ethical principles of a professional accountant. To find out the threat, those arise by the following fundamental principles. How to safeguard the threats by a professional accountant for the benefit of the society. How to resolve the ethical conflict by a professional accountant. Next one is the research methodology on which my paper is based. The present study is an analytical character. The data and information of this study is based on the secondary data. The data are collected from the textbooks, journals, published materials, research articles, etc. Some of the data are also collected from the website in order to make the study more explicit in nature. Now the question arises, what is the ethics? The word ethics has come from the word ethos, which means character or manner. In Latin, it is called the ethicus, and in Greeks, it is called the ethikos. Ethics may be defined as character, norms, moral ideas prevailing in an individual or a group or a society at large. Ethics is a mass of moral principles or set of values about what conduct ought to be. Ethics may be defined as some standardized form of conduct which may be used to determine what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is false, what is just, what is unjust, what is proper, what is improper, what is fair, what is unfair, what is good, what is bad, what should be done and what should not be done. A person's true character eventually will always show through in manner in which they conduct themselves in every aspect of their life. Thus, the following model can be formed. Ethics is equal to truthfulness plus transparency plus righteousness plus morality. Indeed, ethics is a branch of philosophy considering value based on the human behavior to truth or falseness of act or good or evil outcome of these acts. In a broader definition, ethics is a set of ethical values. Each of us is with a set of values and considers them appropriately, and sometimes we ignore them. Some example of ethical value determined at execution level are including rules, religious teaching, and ethical principles law in commerce for professional industrial group, and professional ethics regulation in organization. Now the question arises, what are the concept of ethical dilemma? Indeed, ethical dilemma is a situation in which it is difficult to choose what is right and what is wrong. In such a case, value conflict remain among the various interested groups because at the same time, duration alternative also appears to be justiciable equally. We may quote Indian Singur case for the same, in which the farmer were not agree for the forced acquisition of land by the government, so they were protesting. In real sense, these forced acquisitions were fulfilling the Tata's dream project to produce only 1 lakh rupees car for India. Due to being socially responsible group, Tata cultivated and now enjoying an outstanding image in India. In case of ethical dilemma, the following 10 points ethical checklist which have been posted by the Michael 14 on the website and have been submitted by the student Brain Clement may be useful because in favor the role of ethics in a person's long-term business success. There are 10 rules. First is the golden rule. In this, we have to determine what I want people to do this to me. Next is the fairness test, in which we have to decide who might be affected and how. Is this fair to everyone? Next one is that the what is if everybody did this test. In this, we have to determine how I want everyone to do this. Would I want to live in that kind of world? The truth test, does this action represent the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Next is the parent test. How should my parent feel if they found about this? What advice would they give me? Next is the children test. Would I be willing to explain everything about this to my kids and expect them to act in the same way? Next is the religious test. Does this test go against my religion? Next is the conscious test. Does this go against my consciousness? Will I feel guilty? Next is the consequences test. Are there possible consequences of this action that would be bad? Would I regret doing this? Next is the front page test. How would I feel if my action were reported on the front page of my hometown paper? This was the ethical dilemma principles. Now the lesson of ethics from the Gita. Perhaps no study of ethics may be complete without a relevant reference to the Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gave many useful suggestions as to how to manage his company successfully. These suggestions can be used for solving the ethical dilemma and working for success in any kind of professional working, whether it is big or it is small. Next is the professional ethics. Indeed, professional ethics in accounting and audit is the subset of business ethics, and business ethics is the subset of morality in the economic life. Most of recognized jobs formulate applied standards and principles of their professional ethics. The main goal of formulating behavioral standards is that ethical responsibilities are defined to the society, other society persons, the medical jobs, engineering, lawyers, accounting, auditing, journalism, beside common features, have formulated professional ethics due to the social importance. There are some common features which have to be followed by all these professions which have been mentioned earlier. First of them is the defining the qualification to enter the job, complexity of technology and professional knowledge, responsibility in presenting the service to the society, the need to achieve acceptability and society trust. Next is the ethical principles equal to behavioral norms. Ethical principles in the job are behavioral norms. In social behavior, what we should do and what we should not do is the duty of ethics. The main issue of professional rules in the norms are issued based on the accepted values and are described by some terms as good, bad, false, and true. Max Weber divided ethics into three sections. First is that ethics in family and private life, ethics in economic life, ethics in political and social relations. Next is the ethics in accounting and auditing. The scandal of financial fraud and collapse of some great companies such as Enron, WorldCom, and Parmalat showed that observing the technical regulations are not adequate in professional responsibility. Professional accountants, beside observing the technical regulation, should be committed to professional ethics. Enron is the one of the active companies in energy and went bankruptcy due to fraud, false account, selling projects at loss to the bureaucratic company, and registering false claims in the financial statement. And $90 billion was the loss of stockholder of the company. Audit institutions of Earthon Anderson by giving up the requirement of Enron company and ignoring audit evidence and false perceptions of important deviations had adverse effect on audit positions of investors. Another shocking news was on June 2002 in US capital market. WorldCom company went bankruptcy and its founder was imprisoned for 85 years for fraud. WorldCom company was established in 1983, called LDDS, and was developed by Barrow, developed policies by purchasing and integrating smaller companies, was turned into the second far distance telecommunication company with 80,000 employees and 20 million users all over the world. After development of the activities field of the company, it was found that there is no demand as the created capacity. Today, about 90% of 39 million miles optical fiber in US are not used and are as dark fiber. The managers of the company during 2001 and 2002, and to avoid the stock fall, made some false accounts and hid the loss. But financial scandals were not effective in saving the company, and the company with the value of each share more than 60% went bankruptcy and it was at loss of $180 billion. Financial fraud of $18 billion of Parmalata is another ethical issue in recent years. In the late 2003, and by achieving the maturity of paying $180 million for buying from a small stockholder in Brazil, the financial authorities of Premlata could not fulfill their obligations. The financial officers of a branch of Premlata sold $5 billion. The problem was changed by losing the invoice of accounts and financial fraud was revealed. When the auditor stated that it was not $5 billion in US bank despite its claim, it was found that the document on the bank sheet regarding the existence of $5 billion were not valuable and the bank signature was forged. By this scandal, Deloitte Touch Audit Institutions in a statement defined that Parmalat company managed, devised, deceived the institution regularly and Parmalat founder with his assistants were charged with the account manipulation. It seemed Parmalat managers manipulated the account to present a profitable image of the company performance and to keep the value its stock. But later studies showed that some of them embezzled great amount of money. Parmalat company as it started by a local shop in Parmari of Italy and turned into a company with 36,000 employees in 29 countries in the world, stated bankruptcy by the financial scandal. Now the reason arises why the region, what are the reasons by which the ethics have to be needed in accounting. First is the fraud. Fraud is purposeful. Fraud. What is the fraud? Fraud is the purposeful act of one or some managers, employees, or third parties being done with the aim of false financial statement and include the following: manipulation, forgery, changing the documents, registering the transactions with positive document, registering the incomplete or ambiguous offices, false presentation of financial effects, etc. Another is the misuse of assets, ignoring internal control for misuse, obliging the subordinate for false registering of the transactions, collaboration with audit for the lack of financial disclosure scandal, false application of accounting procedures, not giving information of trading or presenting false information to the auditor and related organization, disclosure of confidential information to the of employees to the competitor, not providing adequate reserve to reduce invoice value and non-registered costs, the lack of presentation of information or giving false information to capital market to affect the stock price. These are the ethics which have to be considered in the field of audit. Some of them are not observing the professional qualification, financial dependency or employment on employer or required economic units, purposeful selection of samples as it does not indicate the populations, purposeful mistake in generalize the discovered mistake, false conclusion to hide important mistake or distortion. Ethics guidelines in ethical guideline in audit accounts. Considering the benefit, responsibility, doing work truly, impartiality, autonomy, confidentiality, observing the type of services, etc. Now, the fundamental principles of ethics for a professional accountant. What are the principles which is needed to be followed by the professional accountant? Of them, first is the integrity. What is the integrity? Integrity is the most important fundamental principles because an accountant by its profession must be a man of integrity. He must be honest and straightforward persons in all professions as well as business affairs during the whole time. He must be truthful and fair in all dealings, all the business related matters. If the professional accountant is not dealing with the misleading information in connection with the business, he will have the integrity toward its profession. He must deal all the financial statement relating to the business with utmost care and confidence. At the time of dealing with the financial record, he must be more conscious because error of omission and commissions of a business may lead to him regarding the misleading results. The second one is the objectivity. Indeed, objectivity is the second fundamental and ethical principles of a professional accountant. He must not compromise for their professional and business judgment due to the bias and undue influence on others. Therefore, it is the moral duty of professional accountant to expose all the circumstances which may impair the objectivity. He must avoid the undue and unfair influence relationship to protect the ethical principles of its business organization. Next one is the professional competencies and due care. He must be updated in professional knowledge and skills so that he may be able to provide better professional services not only to the client but also to the employer. He should also have the knowledge of current legislation and techniques to work as per the updated informational standards. It has been divided in two parts. One is the attainment of the professional competencies, another is the maintenance of professional competencies. Indeed, attainment of the professional competency is the process in which he has to attain regular awareness and to understand the new and relevant techniques relating to his professions for enhancing the knowledge so that he may be able to perform effectively within professional environment. Maintenance of professional competency must be maintain the professional competency along with the attainment. He should ensure about the appropriate and expertise knowledge of the persons who are working under him. He must know his limitations at the time of rendering his professional services to the client and employer as well. Next one is the professional behavior. Indeed, and professional accountant must behave like a professional, complying all the rules and regulations along with avoiding all the activities which may discredit the professions. He should not do anything which may undermine the reputations of accounting professions and or organization. Next one is need of the ethics for professional accounting. First is the professional accountant are responsible to public benefits and credit of accountings. Professions and personal benefit should not be better than best public benefit. Accountants for the behalf of their employer are faced with some issues and they have access to confidential information. Professional accountant considered himself responsible to the employer. His mission is solving the employer's problem and creating required value for him. If such value is not created and such problem is not solved, the professional accountant has not done his duty well. An accountant only after achieving required result of employers does his duty well by doing all the measurements and achieving the results. These are the institutions which have to maintain their professional principles and have to be followed by their members. Next one, that is the threats which have to be faced by the professional accountants. First is the self-interest threat. At the time of acquiring financial matter which is not in favor of professional accountant, on the other side, if the interest of these close family members is being hampered, he is bound to face the threat of self-interest. For example, to have a close business relation with the client or possibility of to lose a client. Next one is the self-review threat. These type of threats comes into existence when a previous report on the financial matters for revaluation of professional accountant and he is responsible for that judgment. For example, preparing of original data which is used to generate record that may be subject matter of engagement. Reporting on the financial system after involvement in their implementation. Next one is the advocacy threats. The situation in which professional accountant is needed to compromise the opinion of subsequent position relating to financial matter is known as the advocacy threat. In such a position, he should argue the previous financial position. Next one is the familiarity threat. The situation in which professional accountant wish to sympathetic to some of the close relatives who are quite familiar with him is known as the familiarity test. In such circumstances, he may need to be favorable towards some of his close members. Next one is the intimate threat. This is the situation when a professional accountant perceives some sort of threat to him while working toward achievement of the objectives of organizations. The situation may come or may not come, but the professional accountant perceives that there may be a threat. When these threats arise, it is the ethical duty of professional accountant to be objective oriented. In no circumstances he should succumb to these threats in his professional career. Hence, it is said that during the course of operational of a professional accountant may face different category of threats, but he should not disturb when these threats arise. These are the various safeguarding by which we have to develop the quality to safeguard from these threats. These are the training and experience, professional development, corporate governance regulations, professional standards, and disciplinary procedures. Next is the techniques to resolve the ethical conflict. In general sense, conflict refers to a situation of disagreement within two or more parties for a common purpose. Ethical conflict is the result of disagreement when a common code of conduct is not appreciated by two parties on moral grounds. In business and in public practice, the ethical conflict is a common and occurs frequently. In this situation, it is the responsibility of a professional accountant to resolve those ethical conflicts in the public and in the business. Conflict resolutions through applications of fundamental principle is one of the ethical and moral duty of professional accountant. The ethical conflict in business may be formal or informal in character. A professional accountant should have to keep in mind the following points while dealing with the ethical conflict in business and public practice. First one is the relevant fact. While a conflict arises due to the relevant fact of organization, it is the moral duty of professional accountant to consult with the appropriate authorities inside the organization in order to confirm about the relevant fact. If he is not satisfied with the information of the competent authority, he should consult the board of directors or the audit committee in order to know about the relevant fact. Next one is the issue on ethics. It is imperative that professional accountant may face some ethical issues in the organization or in public practice. In order to solve these ethical issues, it is the moral duty of professional accountant to consult the legal advisor of the organization and obtain guidance from them. The professional accountant should be very careful that there will not be any breach of confidence among the organizational authorities and professional accountants. Next one is the fundamental principles. When there is a conflict related to the fundamental principle, the role of the professional accountant is very crucial. While solving it either in each in desirable on the part of professional accountant to rectify them in order to resolve these issues. Internal procedures. The internal procedure of each and every organization is not identical in character. While resolving this type of conflict, it is the ethical duty of professional accountant to ensure that each and every internal procedure has been protected properly. Otherwise, he has to maintain all of the internal procedures for resolving these issues. And last one is the alternative course of action. Sometimes it is necessary on the part of professional accountant to develop some alternative course of action in order to resolve the ethical issues in the organization and in public practice. The alternative course of action should be practiced in such a way that it will not determine the confidentiality of organization in public. And now there is the conclusions and professional behavior. He may face some threats in due course of his accounting professions to safeguard and maintain a balance between organization and professors. They should apply different techniques for different threats in order to maintain the dignity of accounting professions and providing safeguard to different threats such as self-interest, self-review, advocacy, familiarity, and intimidation. A professional accountant should be trained professional with enough experience having professional skills and development. It is important moral and ethical duty of a professional accountant to resolve the ethical conflict inside the organization and in public practice. They should be well acquainted with fundamental principles of accounting system. It may be possible on the part of professional accountant to face some fundamental conflict in the public practice, as it is not taken care by the employees who are in charge of it. In such a situation, the professional accountant should follow all the fundamental principles properly. In case of omission and commissions of the fact and figures, it beside fundamental principles of the professional accountant should know the concept of internal procedures, relevant fact, as well as some alternative course of action in order to deal ethical conflict in the organization from time to time. A professional accountant should follow ethics in his professional career not only to protect the principles of accounting system but also for the benefit of the organization as well as for the society. Indeed, ethical principles in this profession determine the professional accountant responsibility to the society, employer. The reality is that now we cannot trust others without ethics. It means ethics is very necessary for each and every person. Also, we cannot have good contact with environment and the world. Expressing the fundamental principles of ethics and professional behavior in journal and approving the regulations are useful measurement, but without formulating a long-term plan to increase the knowledge of accountant regarding this issue and development of professional behavior and ethics cannot be effective. Although educational plans are necessary, they cannot organize the affairs. To improve ethics and professional behavior in the country, a complete attempt should be made by the professional accounting communities, professional institutions, and professional accountants in three levels of rules, training, and execution. In all these three levels, there is the need to make the rules to improve the persons so that they have to know the ethics and how they have to imply. Last but not the least, a professional accountant is not only accounting persons at the same time, he should be an ethical person of the organization so that the society will be useful for him and he will be successful for the society. Thank you for patiently listening. Jai Hind.